Hello and welcome to the Camo Grind, a series where I analyze every weapon in Advanced Warfare to help you complete every camo challenge by giving specific strategies, loadouts, and more, including ranking every weapon variant in order of usefulness based on several factors to give you an idea of what you should use and what you should redeem. I don't, however, just make this stuff up. My advice and opinions are based on thorough testing, in-game coded stats, and of course my own experiences in using these weapons and weapon variants, of which I own many, to complete every marksman challenge and earn every royalty camo.
Today's episode is on the remaining 3 sniper rifles that we haven't covered yet, the Atlas 20mm, the Lynx, and the MORS. We will waste no time and take a look at the Atlas 20mm, and I would rank the Virtuosity/Royalty as the best variant here, although right off the bat, I will mention that the sniper rifle variants in general aren't as important as some other classes of weapons. Like in the last episode, I think it was a big deal to have the PDW Marksman variant over the regular PDW, or the episode before that, the MP11 Goliath and the K5 Single Stack are both examples of variants that are much better than their base weapon counterpart, and I will even mention having the NE45 Ravager is a big deal too in my opinion, but that isn't really the case with these 3 sniper rifles. You could have the base variant, or you could have what I'm calling the best variant, and either way it shouldn't be a very big deal. Regardless, I think the Virtuosity is the best here, and it is a very simple variant. You might look at it and think, oh god, that's awful, but in reality all this weapon does is make your sprint out time much faster, which is pretty good because you need to aim down your sights to fire this weapon. The Atlas 20mm is too heavy and awkward to be hip fired, and it's good to get the gun up and aimed a bit faster. You might say that's not a very big deal though, and what about that -3 damage? What does that do? Does it change the damage of the weapon? Well, no, it does not. How about the body multipliers? Nope, no change there. Well, how about the wall penetration? Is that medium instead of high? Nope, the -3 damage does absolutely nothing. It's a big red herring fake piece of misleading information. I don't know why Sledgehammer loves doing this all the time, having the variant description not match up properly with what it actually does. It's just odd. It seems like a mistake, not a feature. I really don't know which one it is. But there you go. If you want a faster sprint out time with no downside, this is the variant for you. The hypersonic here in second is nothing special. All it does is increase your rate of fire from 300 to 333, which is rarely useful, I will admit, because you can't really spam the weapon at close range since you can't hip fire, not like you can panic spam someone, and when you're aiming at long range, the kick is too high to really make use of this minute fire rate change. But the hypersonic is here due to a lack of competition from other variants and the fact that it's also a purely bonus variant. That negative handling you see there does nothing. And then in third, I've placed the interrupt. It just has a good little trade-off. Your idle sway speed is improved, and in return your run speed is a tiny bit slower, and there's no way you'll ever notice that decrease. Some other good variants here, and then some not so great variants. Not that they're unusable, but I wouldn't really recommend them. And then there's the skilled, which is just so awful. I guess you have to be skilled to use this thing, because it's just a handicap. You get bad idle sway and bad sprint out time, with no upside, and those are arguably 2 of the most important things you can improve for this gun. So, alright, have fun using that thing. Funny thing is that the worst one here is called the skilled, and then the Virtuosity all the way over here is also a synonym for skilled. There's a random thought for you. Let us now take a look at the Lynx, the often ignored runt of the sniper rifle category, although it has been made more viable over time in the game updates. The variants for this thing are the definition of nothing special, but let's take a look. The Lynx improved action will increase your rate of fire by a little bit, making it a bit more spammable, which is the only strength of this weapon, in exchange for a bit of sprint out time. This would be a bad variant for the Atlas 20mm, but it's a good trade-off for the Lynx. The Lynx quarterback and a bunch of these I'm a bit iffy on. I was close to drawing the line right here in second place for good and bad variants, but the quarterback improves your idle sway by a good amount, so that should make it noticeably easier to use, but it does reduce your rate of fire and sprint out time by a little bit. If you're finding yourself oversampling this thing too much when trying to shoot it, maybe it isn't a great idea, but if you pace your shooting, this will be a very accurate weapon, and the 13 twist is very similar. It also improves your idle sway a smaller amount at the cost of your rate of fire, just without the sprint out penalty. The tack driver also follows a very similar pattern, and the variable isn't very good, but it does come with a free variable scope, so that alone might be worth it. And then there are many not so hot variants down here. To the last weapon we go, the super popular MORS bolt-action railgun thing, loved by pretty much everyone and regarded as the most viable sniper rifle. Definitely my favorite sniper rifle as well. I've always found the sniper rifles in Call of Duty to be pretty easy to use. It comes very naturally, although I rarely use them. Anyway, the best MORS variant, you've probably heard about it before, is the Pummeler Marksman variant. Yes, another good marksman variant. First the PDW and now the MORS. We're on a roll with decent marksman variants. So one of the most important things for people with a MORS variant is increasing your rate of fire, which is essentially your reload time, if you want to call it that. And the three variants that increase your rate of fire are the Pummeler, the Doctor, and the Quick Bolt. And they all increase your rate of fire by the same amount, despite what the in-game image says. Now, the Pummeler and the Doctor are both, statistically, the exact same thing, except the Doctor has a tiny movement speed decrease. So, the Pummeler is technically better, although with such a tiny thing like that, it's worth it to me to just use the Doctor. God, I hate saying that. Hey bro, you alright? Have a bit of a stutter there? No, I'm just using my favorite variants, the third, and the last laugh, and the Doctor. Anyway, I use the Doctor sometimes simply because it's cooler to use the Elite. A completely subjective human reason there for you, so that choice is totally up to you. And then there's the Quick Bolt, which I would also include in the three-way tie, pretty much. These all increase your rate of fire, and the other ups and downs are relatively minor. Same with these other variants, pretty minor stuff. I will talk about the Silver Bullet for a second. The damage buff is a real thing, it isn't a placebo. It actually does increase your damage multipliers by an impressive amount. But the thing is, the MORS base damage is 98, 98, 98 at every range, so it doesn't matter if you have 1.5 times or 1.3 times, instead of the normal 1.1 times, it'll kill no matter what, as long as it isn't in the areas where it's only 1 times, but the variants don't help with any of those areas. So the Silver Bullet is only helping you sometimes if you're shooting through a wall in some scenarios, or if you're trying to take down a Goliath, I guess, but overall it isn't a very helpful variant, even though it looks pretty awesome. There we go, super fast episode this time. As for the camo challenges for these things, nothing too crazy. You do need 15 Bloodthirsties, which is more than any other class, I think, but that should come with time. Remember, you can always use the different weapon for the first 4 kills strategy, and 5 double kills might seem annoying, but it isn't that bad anymore since you have a couple seconds to get that second kill. It used to be very difficult to the point where you basically had to get a collateral for it to count as a double kill, and especially with the MORS, it was impossible without a collateral. I actually got the Alice 20mm camo with 5 collaterals, and I was like, wow, thank God that's over, and then they changed it and made it much easier, which is a bit annoying, but it was a good change, so I can't complain. Another episode down, only 2 more left. Next episode we'll be covering a bit of an odd assortment, 2 assault rifles and 2 heavy weapons that we haven't covered yet, the ARX 160 and HBR3, and then the Pytake and the Ameli. Not in the same class, but they're similar kinds of machine guns, I guess. I hope you learned something about the sniper variants we covered, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.